What is up, coordinators and naturals? I am just a simple new type, and in this video, we're going back to the Cosmic Era as we begin our coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny Astray. Last time, we followed Canard and Prayer as they concluded their battle. Prayer passed away due to him being a failed experimental clone. After his death, Canard went on with his life as a free man, but never forgetting the compassion of Prayer. In this episode, we will learn about Jess Rabel, our protagonist of this story. We will also say goodbye to Lo and Kisato for a little bit, but not before he gives Jess a parting gift. So let's get into this. The prologue begins in CE 71, where we see the Battle of Yakin Dway and the end of the First Alliance Plant War. After the war, the Junius Treaty was signed, but it took months to actually put ink to paper. During this time, the war struggled to slow down. Our story will focus on this time frame. It starts in October of CE 71, 5 months before the treaty will be signed. For some context, the Battle of Yakin Dway ended on September 27, CE 71. We meet our protagonist, Jess Rabel. He is talking to Matthias, who wants to give Jess a job. Jess is good at journalism and piloting a mobile suit, and he really doesn't want this scoop. He takes the job regardless. He goes out into space to the coordinates that Matthias gave him. As he spies, he stumbles onto the rehome and the red frame. Without noticing, the red frame instantly takes him out. Lo and Guy capture him. Lo is a part of the Junk Guild, and Guy is a part of Serpent's Tail, the mercenary group. If this is your first video, I would go back and check out our Gundam Seed Astray coverage. Jess thinks that they are a part of Zaft. George Glenn pops out to tell Lo that they are good to go. Lo tells Jess to look outside. He looks out to see the Junk Guild team using the Genesis variant. Genesis is the giant gamma ray cannon that was used by Patrick Zala and Zaft during the Battle of Yakin Dway. This seems to be a prototype that was made before the original. Lo is planning on using it as a propulsion system to get to Mars faster. Jess calls him stupid. Lo essentially tells him that it ain't stupid if it works. Enemies are coming to their location. Guy goes out to stop them. It seems Guy and the Serpent's Tail's job in this whole situation is to protect the Junk Guild. Zaft is coming to destroy the Genesis variant. It is a violation of the current treaty that is somewhat kind of in effect at this moment, and they want to destroy the evidence. Of course, the Junk Guild wants to take it to Mars, so it would be in unexplored space where no rules currently exist. Guy and Elijah start fighting Zaft. Out in the distance, someone fires onto Zaft. It is Canard Parnes in the Dreadnought H. The YMF X000AH Dreadnought H is Prayer Reverie's original Dreadnought, but modified for Canard's needs. The H is actually the Greek letter Eta and is also a reference to the H-shaped backpack. My Japanese skills have been stuck at an intermediate level now for a decade, but is this witty and clever to the average Japanese viewer? It always comes off as X-Men levels of silly to me. Anyways, Canard removed the Dragoon system as he wasn't able to use it. He added more Vulcans to the head. With its new backpack, it has a long-range attack form, as well as a short-range attack form. It also still retains 2 tiny Amir Lumiere shields, which comes from his old Hyperion Gundam. It still has the submachine gun, Ram Technica beam knives, and the N-Jammer Canceller, as well as phase shift armor. Canard is repaying a favor back to Lo by helping him. Lo lets Jess go. He says that he was completely wrong about Lo and that he wants to travel the world taking photos to break those misconceptions. Lo says, cool, I have an investment for you. Lo shows Jess the Astray outframe. The ZG-MF X12 Gundam Astray outframe is made using a broken mobile suit that Lo found inside of the Genesis variant, and Lo being Lo decided to fix it up. We will learn later that the broken Gundam is known as Testament Gundam. It is a worker mobile suit, but due to the unit's origin, it is very capable in battle. The outframe is capable of attaching striker packs used by the Earth Alliance. It has the same cockpit as the Justice and the Freedom, which means absolutely nothing now that we saw those 360-degree cockpits in Gundam Freedom. We will see some cool loadouts with this unit, but it is usually equipped with a Schneider combat knife, a beam rifle, and a beam sign, which is the equivalent of that thing that tells you that the lane is ending and you gotta merge over. You know what I'm talking about? One backpack that Jess will equip to the unit is the Back Home, which is essentially a backpack tent for Jess, equipped with a beam coating and smoke grenade launchers. Another important special feature is the gun camera, which is a high-res camera that he will use on the battlefield. Lo opens the cockpit to find 8 hanging out. 8 is an artificial AI in a suitcase that helps Lo control the Astray red frame. 8 doesn't want to go to Mars, so 8 decides to stay with Jess and the Astray outframe. Before taking Taking off, Jess takes a photo of Lo and Kisato. He launches in the outframe. The professor and Liam are with Serpent's Tail. It seems this adventure is just Kisato, Lo, and George Glenn. Everyone watches as they take off, wishing them a safe voyage. After they leave, Jess announces to the Zaft pilots that he has shots of the Genesis and will announce to the world of its existence. That is when a random mobile suit pilot comes in. Back on Earth, we learn that the pilot is Kate Madigan, a veteran that essentially saved Jess after making that announcement. He passively aggressively thanks Kate. Mattias gives Jess his next assignment. He wants him to go to South America, where the EA are trying to kill one of their pilots, known as Ed the Ripper. As we know, the Earth Alliance is made up of a series of nations who live on Earth. The Atlantic Federation and Eurasian Federation were the biggest, but another nation was the United States of South America, or the USSA. In November of CE 71, 2 months after the Battle of Yaquindue, the USSA declares independence using military force. A series of infighting is now happening. Mattias assigns Jess to head to South America and gives him a press pass to go and get an interview with Ed the Ripper. Kate Madigan will come in and help if he gets into any trouble. Mattias wants Jess to take the overland route, which is considered a neutral territory, so he shouldn't run into anyone dangerous. Jess heads to the Andes Mountains. He reaches the top and camps out for the night. Here we see the Outframe's back home in use as it carries everything he needs to camp for the night. He heads to the other side of the mountain range and stumbles onto the Zaft base. He also happens to stumble onto a shuttle carrying Zaft reporter Bernadette Leroux. Before they go to interview Ed the Ripper, Bernadette tells Jess that he smells. I guess the back home doesn't have a shower. They enter a room to find Ed the Ripper eating, you guessed it, a burger. He doesn't have too much time, so he asks the 2 reporters to interview him at the same time. Bernadette comes in quickly with a question regarding geopolitics. The whole time, her internal monologue is telling her that Ed doesn't have the image of a hero and is somewhat frivolous. We don't actually hear Ed's response, unfortunately. We just get the reporter's internal dialogue. Then Jess comes in with a scathing question. What kind of women you into? He laughs and says he never gets questions like that, but then answers by saying he likes jiggly titties. Nice. Suddenly, the alarm goes off on the base. Bernadette heads out, but Jess wants to follow Ed into battle and capture as much as possible. Ed heads out in the Sword Calamity. A series of Raider full specs heads their way. The GAT-333 Raider Full Spec is a variant of the Raider Gundam that we saw, the biological CPU Clotho pilot. This unit is designed for long-ranged aerial assault. Apparently, the Raider Gundam in Gundam Seed is a rushed version of the suit designed to hit the ground running as the war was ramping up. The full-spec version is its fully realized form. This unit has sub-wings, which gives the mobile suit superior aerial performance. This unit can also perform in space. It launches in mobile armor mode and uses a catapult launcher. Its specialty is the King Cobra infrared guided missiles, making these units great bombers, which you don't really see too many bombing runs in mobile suit. Let's see some more bombing runs. It also has an atmospheric re-entry pod and trans-phase armor. Ed mentions that he used to be a test pilot for these units and knows all their weak points. Jess is stunned as he watches Ed the Ripper tear through his enemy with ease. The Raider full spec begins to retreat, but one shoots off missiles and hits Ed. He falls off the side of a cliff. Jeff comes in and saves him with some ropes. Bernadette is watching and says getting involved disqualifies one as a journalist. Later, on the news, Jess and Ed watch Bernadette's report on the incident. The way she reports it comes off as propaganda, but Ed notes that she reported it in a way which will force people to come and attack Ed, which was the intention of Bernadette's reporting. Jess seems very green when it comes to journalism or geopolitics. Maybe he's just a hard truther. We don't know. He tells Ed that he wants to know everything about him, and Ed sighs, wishing the war would be over. On Earth's California base, Earth Alliance is tasking 3 pilots to take down Ed the Ripper. Jane Houston, known as the White Whale. Rena Amelia, known as Sakura Burst, and Moonlight Mad Dog Morgan Chevalier. We were already introduced to Morgan as he is the pilot of the gun barrel dagger. This is the unit that has a dagger with the Mobius gun barrels as a striker pack. All 3 are determined to bring down Ed the Ripper. We start our journey with a flashback to June 16th, CE71, during the Battle of Orb. Morgenrat's chief engineer, Etika Simmons, is prepping the Kusanagi. Lord Uzumi is about to blow up the nation, and all remaining Orb members are to board the Kusanagi. Etika begins yelling at one girl to stop messing around. This is Yoon Saffron. She is a green engineer for Orb and is quite clumsy. Etika tells her to take the remaining AIs to the Kusanagi. These are suitcase-sized AIs just like 8. She starts prepping the AI units, but of course, she is clumsy and gets tangled in a bunch of cords. The AI try to help her out, but it is too late. Uzumi blows up Orb. The Kusanagi has already left. She was underground and comes up to the surface to realize that she has been left behind. As she is crying, some members of the Jump Guild approach her and let her know that they are all here to clean up on request of the Earth Alliance. Since she has been abandoned by a nation that was blown up and no longer exists, she decides to join the guild. We cut back to South America in December of CE71. Ed is wondering what is going on with Jess's Astray. It seems that 8 brought the Junk Guild to help fix up the mobile suit. Jess doesn't want any artillery added. He goes to the cockpit to find Yoon installing a bathtub inside. This was at the request of 8. Is 8 suggesting that Jess smells? Can this AI unit smell? I have so many questions. She gives Jess instructions on how to use the tub and then takes off in her mobile suit. Jess and Ed realize how dopey she comes off and are concerned for her. But 8 tells them that she is the designer of the Rista. The MWF JG-71 Rista is a civilian mobile suit and is essentially composed of 40% of the Astray. This is a very cheap and very scrappy unit by design. It focuses on repairability over anything else. It usually doesn't use weapons, but can if needed. It has the ability to attach backpack units, but nothing on the level of Striker or Silhouette packs. Jess will also pilot this in the future and will have his gun camera attached. Jess goes out to test the bathtub, but the air siren goes off. Ed decides to head out for the battle, and Jess tags along, having to wait to take his bath. They head out towards the coast. Ed tells Jess during this time of the year, the heat from the South American continent mixes with the cold of Antarctica and causes a giant fog to roll over the continent. Apparently, this is a real phenomenon that actually happens. Look up Antarctic convergence zones and the Drake Passage. Ed recognizes this pattern of hiding in the fog and wonders if it is her. Jess covers his unit to make himself somewhat hidden, but I think what they're going for is that old-timey sheet that you put over a camera, but with a mobile suit. It looks silly and awesome at the same time. He hides and lets Ed do his thing. Suddenly, out of the mist comes Jane Houston in her Forbidden Blue. The GAT X-255 Forbidden Blue is a variant of the X-252 Forbidden Gundam. The original Forbidden isn't designed for underwater but can use the Geschmeidig Panzer to make it happen. Forbidden Blue actually is designed for aquatic use. Its arm-mounted machine guns and Vulcans are useless underwater but can be used instantly once it resurfaces. Like the original, it also has the transphase armor and the Geschmeidig Panzer energy deflection system, but it doesn't use it to deflect, but rather it allows the unit to reach deep depths of the water without the water pressure crushing the mobile suit. It also has a scythe, a phonon maser cannon, a torpedo canister pod, and a trident. They engage in battle as Jess records from afar. Ed refers to her as the White Whale. Sword Calamity's beam sword breaks on Forbidden's shield. In the background, Jess wonders who she is, not realizing that 8 is a walking Wikipedia who instantly gives them the information on her. 8 says that they were former comrades. Jess instigates that it seems that they were more than just friends. Ed takes out her shield. We get flashbacks of the two who were former lovers. She seems to not understand that what he does for his country. Ed is about to attack, but then Jess comes in with the interview recording. Last episode, Jess asked Ed in an interview what kind of woman he likes, and he said he liked floppy titties. Jess replays the audio, and it causes Ed to stop fighting. Jane finally understands how much his nation means to Ed. She asks for forgiveness. Jess is a terrible journalist. Great guy, but terrible at being an objective observer. They head back to the base. Ed thanks Jess. He says that he simply showed him the truth. Nah, brah, there was some emotional manipulation happening there. You knew that. Jane tells the two that they shouldn't get comfortable and that the Alliance will be sending more people. Meanwhile, Yoon is wandering around South America and getting lost. She stumbles onto a graveyard of Daggerels. A man jumps onto her shoulder and tells her to escape immediately. She doesn't know where to escape to, and the man says it is too late. In front of them is Zaft's new experimental Zaku. In Gundam Seed Destiny, we discussed the Zaku Warrior in the new Millennium series of Zaft mobile suits. The ZGMF X999A Zaku mass production trial type is an attempt by Zaft at making a mass-produced version of Justice and Freedom. Remember, those suits were originally made by Zaft, until Lacus and Atherin came in and stole them. This Zaku is nuclear powered and has in-jammer cancelers as well as phase shift armor. However, once this thing was ready to go into mass production, the Junius Treaty prevented nuclear power from military use, which is why the Zaku Warrior will be battery powered. Surprisingly, it has no beam weapons and is equipped with a railgun, blade tomahawk, and a shield. Yoon doesn't know what to do. The man switches places with Yoon and pilots the unit. He seems to be comfortable with the Astray OS, which is what the Raista uses. He charges the Zaku. He says his name is Barry Ho, a former pilot of Orb's Kusanagi division, the ship that abandoned Yoon. Barry kicks the Zaku, does a flip over the mobile suit, and then bails. There is no way that they could take a unit on like that. Back at the South American base, Jane informs Ed of a Continental missile barrage. Ed plans on using the Gundam Raider full spec to head out into space and get the upper hand before they begin the barrage. Jess is sad that his mobile suit can't go into space. Ed goes to prep while Jess gets a message on the radio. He and Jane heads to ZAF's South American Demilitarized Zone number 3. He goes to meet with Bernadette, who is a ZAF reporter. She actually came to talk to Jane, the white whale. Jess comments that she is here to push her own propaganda. Bernadette tells them that this unit ran into a series of daggers that attacked them. He then proceeds to take them out. Now, why is this important? Because they should be currently in a ceasefire with the USSA, so it seems that it was EA that made the first move. Jane was supposed to be undercover, and her higher-ups told her that they wouldn't send any units until she reports back. She introduces the two to Courtney Hieronymus, the test pilot of the new Test Zaku. Bernadette says because of the actions of EA, they won't be getting involved with the USSA revolution. Jess starts to wonder why would the EA send in troops if they ultimately planned on doing a bombing run. It suddenly hits Jess. This is all a trap. Jane was given false information and most likely planned on her defecting. Ed is going to be in trouble. In space, Ed takes out a shuttle dropping bombs. He runs into Moonlight Mad Dog Morgan. Mad Dog tells him to send his regards to Jane. Ed realizes that this is all a ruse to get him to come out into space. Morgan tells him that he can't tolerate treasonous soldiers. Ed says that he is no longer a soldier. He is the hero of South America. The two engage in battle. Morgan uses his dagger with the gun barrel pack. Ed dodges all the gun barrel attacks, but he is being pushed closer to re-entering Earth's atmosphere. He sends out another round of gun barrel attacks. This time, it causes Ed to start getting pulled into Earth's atmosphere. Ed heard about stories of Kida entering Earth with his phase shift armor. Ed has trans-phase armor and wonders if it is possible. He says it doesn't matter though because he is a mere natural. Suddenly, a piece of debris comes in and almost hits him. He then remembers a news article of the Junk Guild entering Earth's atmosphere and riding behind a piece of debris. Of course, we saw this during Gundam Seed Astray. Ed tries to do the same. He gets behind it and is successful at entering Earth's atmosphere. Ed looks quite haggard as he just endured serious amounts of G-forces. He says he is going to need a cold one after that. Mattias and Madigan are staring at a world map and doing the generic cliche of moving pieces on a board. He mentions that the Queen is about to make her appearance. Of course, this is Sakura Burst. Moonlight Mad Dog has failed and the White Whale has defected. She is the last remaining member of her team. Like Ed, she also pilots the Sword Calamity. She prepares her mobile suit. We get a few color splash pages of Sakura Burst and Ed the Ripper fighting, but then we cut back to the USSA base where Barry Home meets with Ed and Jess. Barry helped Yoon get out of his situation regarding the Zaku mass production trial type, destroying a series of Dagger L's during the ceasefire. Barry and Ed look at each other. They were apparently enemies during the Battle of Yakin Due. Remember, the Battle of Yakin Due was the final battle of the First Alliance Plant War. During this battle, Kida killed Raoul Le Creuset, and Athrun did a Star Wars. But like the Battle of Abao Aku in Universal Century, many people were involved in the final battle in Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. Ed and Barry are on different paths now, and they welcome each other as teammates for the upcoming battle. Jess takes this opportunity for a photo op. That is when Kate comes out of nowhere. Jess tells him to go away, but reminds him that recently he was saved by Kate. We then get small snippet panels that are referenced from the Dengeki Hobby book of Destiny Astray, and no, I'm not doing it. Stop gachaponing everything. I don't need to read this art book to fulfill my headcanon. I think? Maybe. Ask me again in another video. Kate tells the crew that their next opponent, Sakura Burst, isn't going to be an easy one. She is a flight instructor and is said to be above your average coordinator. Jess tells Kate that he knows a lot about her. Kate responds by saying he likes strong women and gentlewomen. Actually, he just likes all women. Jess starts to realize this and stops listening to him. Kate thinks that if Ed falls in battle, then the USSA will fall as they are reliant on him. But Ed says that isn't true and that this nation will be fine without him. Ed says that the will of the people of South America will continue to fight and work together. Even if Ed dies, he knows that the people of this country have inherited this belief and that they will continue trudging on without him. Ed's will was broadcasted to the world and has been inherited by his people. Jess is inspired by this and says he will continue to record everything that Ed does for his people. As they are pumping one another up for the battle, suddenly Yoon stumbles onto their location. I don't know if she has been there the whole time or that she just bumbled her way into the scene, but I think that's the point, is that you always forget she's there. Oh, Yoon. We cut back to the Battle of Sakura Burst and Ed the Ripper. Jess and Kate are watching in the outframe from afar. Sakura tells Ed that it is over because they are no longer simply attacking Ed. They now plan on doing a full attack on the entire nation. She says the best way to end this is to surrender or die here now. Ed is in shock, but Jess yells at Ed from afar about not giving up. Even Kate is embarrassed by Jess's actions. He truly is bad at being objective. They both wield their swords and attack one another. Jess films it all. Kate says that she is holding back and waiting to attack at full force. Kate calls this a pro. Now this is not a pro. This makes for great storytelling and is a typical anime convention, but if you find yourself in a fight, end it as fast as possible. Sakura Burst isn't relying on the sword as much as Ed. She uses this to her advantage and plays the long-range game. Ed says that he believes in the power of the sword. He goes into attack. She uses the energy cannon on Ed, but he keeps pushing forward and slices through her unit. Now this is equally a gut-punching moment while also being hilarious due to Jess. Ed goes into her cockpit. She is badly injured. She tells Ed she understands why Jane the White Whale was attracted to him, but this is a battlefield. So she pulls out a pistol and shoots Ed. He flies off of her unit. And what a moment this is. But it is then undercut a little bit by Jess coming in and taking photos of him getting the shot. This guy got involved throughout the entire series, but now's the time he chose to be an objective observer. Anyways, Ed shot, oh no. Meanwhile, at an undisclosed location, we see a meeting between a random Alliance member and Lord Jibril. We know that Logos, and thus Blue Cosmos, was the one that controls EA, but it seems they were already making moves before the ink was dry on the Junius Treaty. Jibril says that he is over trying to take control of South America and they are no longer needed. We know that the Junius Treaty didn't put an end to Blue Cosmos. It was already a shit show. But here we see just how much of a shit show it actually was behind the scenes. The Earth Alliance's influence is starting to dwindle as more and more desire independence. However, we know that EA will simply take control of most of the Earth with force in CE-73. As they go to try to resuscitate Ed, more mobile suits come in. They look like strike daggers. Jess demands to let them through so they could help Ed, but they refuse. Kate wants to take control of the mobile suit as he is a better pilot in battle, but this is Jess's mobile suit and he wants to protect it. For the first time, kind of, a stray outframe goes into battle mode and preps for battle. Kate is attending to both Ed and Sakura Burst, who are currently dying while Jess prepares for battle. It looks like they are in the back home, which is, on the outframe's back. So they are just bouncing around in the back of the mobile suit while he fights. Hey, wait a minute, where did the bathtub go? Jess uses the beam saber on the strike dagger. He falls back and uses his anchor that is usually used for towing and mountain climbing. The EA soldiers do not know what unit they are currently fighting. The downed dagger pilot gets out of his mobile suit and starts shooting at Jess. Seeing a human get out of his mobile suit and try to kill him really allowed Jess to sink in the realities of war. Jess uses the smoke grenade launcher and runs away. He takes the dying soldier to Zaft's South American Demilitarized Zone D3. This is where Zaft reporter Bernadette is. Jess didn't have any other options. Bernadette says they will help out of humanitarian duties. She also tells the team that a huge battle in South America is about to take place and that the signing of the treaty won't stop war from breaking out. Kate thinks that the Alliance will attempt to take South America by force and bring down their morale and force them back into the hands of EA. It won't matter if the treaty is signed. Jess asks a favor of Bernie. He calls her Bernie now. She gives a report to the people of Zeon, and thus the world. She informs the people that the treaty has been signed, but that won't stop EA from attacking South America. She hands over the mic to Jess, where he tells the people of South America that Ed is currently in critical condition. He is more or less dead, but that his will lives on inside the hearts of everyone in the USSA. He tells the people that they have the power to fight back like him. This inspires the people, including Jane the White Whale. The battle wages on between USSA and the EA. Suddenly, Zaft comes in. Specifically, Shiho Hanenfuss comes in exclaiming that now that the treaty is signed, they are here to help bring aid to the people of USSA. Shiho is a background character who had her own one-shot called The Blooming of Hosenka on the battlefield. Oh my god, I can't do it. There's too many. She shows up in the background of the show here and there, and she is also in love with Isa. She was also a part of the Le Creuset team. She is piloting her Sigu Deep Arms. The acronym from the YFX-200 Sigu Deep Arms stands for Directional Energy Emissions Experimental. It is a mobile suit used to test the beam technology that Zaft stole from the Alliance at the beginning of the war. Although the beam cannon's cooling issue was not really solved, their performance reached a good enough level, and the data gained during their usage is used by Zaft to develop new weapons to this day. Good enough has sadly been the driving factor of every single war ever. Outside of the thermal energy cannon, it also wields a heavy laser sword and a 76mm heavy assault machine gun. On the battlefield, Barry Ho is fighting in his dagger. This guy gets out of his Gundam and does a sidekick on the head of the enemy's dagger. After kicking, he runs off right in time because Guy in the blue frame, along with the rest of Serpent's Tail, comes in and protects the USSA forces. They have been hired to protect South America post-treaty signing. Barry notices the Serpent's Tail symbol on Guy's mobile suit. The blue frame is great. Go watch our Gundam Seed Astray videos for more on Guy and the blue frame. Meanwhile, Mattias is getting a cubist painting done of his flamboyant face. He gets a call informing him of the signing of the treaty. He speculates that Eileen will soon be replaced with someone new. Of course, we know this will be Durandal. I don't know if we ever mentioned her by name, but in between Patrick Zolla and Durandal was Chairman Eileen, who helped with the diplomatic committee in charge of treaty negotiation. A part of the treaty was one key point. All national boundaries on Earth had to be restored to status quo antebellum. Just like Orb, South America will be given back their borders and can declare independence once again. Sakura Burst goes back to the EA. The Alliance declares Ed as a deserter. Ed goes on to be declared missing in action. Jess asks Kate if he did the right thing. He tells Jess he technically failed because he got involved, but he thinks that Jess's report was fantastic. They leave South America. We go to space and see that Ed the Ripper is being treated by ace pilot and Dr. Mikhail. He scolds him for eating a burger. Back on Earth, 8 informs Jess and Kate that there is someone inside the bathtub. This bathtub comes and goes as it pleases. Kate pulls out a gun. They open the back home and find a girl sleeping in the bathtub. Kate and Jess are at a fancy party to announce to the world Zaft's new mobile suits. Soon, the Minerva will be announced to the world, and they can move on to a new case. Mar is now officially piloting along with Shin. Jess begins taking photos. Suddenly, a lady approaches the group. Jess doesn't recognize her, but Kate instantly notices that it is Yoon, all dressed up. Back at the castle, Matisse is confused where these new mobile suits came from. She is confused because she is a megalomaniac who believes that she created the world. Run. At the Armory 1 base, Mar is complaining that only the Impulse Gundam will be a part of the Minerva crew on its initial launch. He still wants to pilot the Gundam. At that moment, the Phantom Pain team comes in and begins stealing the mobile suits. Stella shoots Mar, who is now complaining about being shot. Jess and Kate get an evacuation notice. The two decide to get footage in their mobile suits. Jess is somewhat concerned for Satona, but she will magically return, like she always does. Bernadette stops them and convinces the two to not engage on the battlefield. She tells them to take a secret route out of the plant and meet up with the Junk Guild. They meet up with Yoon and her ship. She happens to have Mirage Collé detection and notices a mobile suit approaching them. It is the Dagger Inn. Kate goes in to attack the Dagger Inn. Yoon notices another unit approaching their location. It is Courtney Hieronymus in the Proto Chaos. He tells Jess to let him handle this. The XMF P192P Proto Chaos is a prototype mobile armor that is the predecessor to the Chaos Gundam's mobile armor mode. This was Zaft's attempt to rethink mobile armors on the battlefield, something they thought they have moved past by now. But after seeing the Aegis Gundam perform so well, they made this mobile suit. Like the Chaos Gundam, it uses the mobile weapon pod, which utilizes an improved Dragoon system to control the 4 wireless pods. The Chaos Gundam only had 2 pods to make room for arms in its mobile suit mode. It is also equipped with a beam claw for close combat. As the Proto-Chaos comes in, the Dagger N disappears and retreats. Nothing is being picked up on the sensors, but Jess feels something is still nearby. He grabs his camera and opens his cockpit to see a Gundam watching over him. He takes a picture of the Gundam before it takes off. Yoon, Jess, and Kate make their way towards Genesis Alpha. This is a variant of the Genesis weapon that the Junk Guild used as a propulsion system to help Lo head to Mars. Jess meets up with Liam. He is now a chairman of the Junk Guild. He tells the two that they were able to get out of a situation because they were representing the Junk Guild at the plants. Any other situation and they would have been left for dead at Armory Plant 1. Jess wonders if Mattias planned this from the beginning. They head to the administration center to find the professor. Jess asks her about the current situation. They wonder if it will lead to another war. The professor says that there is something more curious happening. He shows the team Junius 7 and notes that it started moving. Of course, we know this as the fuel that will ignite the next war. Liam and the Junk Guild was involved in making sure Junius 7 remains in stable orbit, so someone must have messed with the rubble. They look on the monitor to see a Nazca-class ship approaching them. It seems that they are defectors of Zaft who split from the military to pursue their own motives. Jess mentions he interviewed them before, but he never knew that they had the resources to back up their words. Jess and Kate goes out to protect Genesis Alpha. If it gets into the wrong hands, it can be used as a weapon of mass destruction. Meanwhile, Matisse heads out in her Gen High Maneuver Type. I believe I glossed over this unit during our Destiny coverage. The ZG-MF 1017N2 Gen High Maneuver Type 2's weapons have been all replaced. It now uses the MM1 M636K beam carbine rifle, which is a high-powered rapid-fire weapon. It also has the MA M92 sword, which is said to have originated from the graveyard and is similar to the Gerbera Strait. I mean, it's just a giant piece of very sharp metal. At the ship, Yoon notes that more units are approaching. Jess and Kate are taking on the defectors, who definitely want to use the Genesis weapon to use on Earth. Suddenly, a bunch of units approach the battlefield. It is Sword Calamity, followed by Raider Full Spec, as well as M1A Astray. We'll talk more about the M1 Astray soon. Jess wonders if it is Ed and his team. Suddenly, another mobile suit appears. It is Rondo Mina Sahaku and the upgraded Astray Gold Frame Amatsu Mina. The MBF P01 I'm just going to put it up on the screen. You read it. You read it yourself. It's a mouthful. This gold frame is the repaired and upgraded version of Rondo's twin brother who piloted the Gundam in Gundam Seed Astray. Go see our coverage of Astray to see the fate of Rondo Gina Sahaku. Spoilers, he dead. For the most part, this is the same unit that her twin brother used, with the exception of 2 new weapons, the Totsuka no Tsugiri Sabers and the Tsumaha no Tachi Claw. It will also eventually get upgraded leg armor. These items will be added by Yoon later in the future. She wishes to speak with the Junk Guild representative. Mina speaks with Liam and tells him that the Junk Guild will be annihilated, but doesn't elaborate. The Junk Guild is currently monitoring chunks of Junius 7 making its way towards Earth. They go out and try to stop it. They plan on using the Genesis weapon to destroy the debris. Kate will be the first one to fire the weapon based on the data they have on the debris. Once again, Jess doesn't feel like things are right. He looks out with his own eyes once again and notices the mysterious Gundam. Jess hears his own voice on the radio, pushing Kate to shoot, but it isn't him. Someone is impersonating him. He connects his camera to 8 so 8 could actually see what's going on. He has to make it to Genesis Alpha before it goes off. The countdown begins. 10, 9, 8. The data is most certainly wrong and will most likely hit Earth. Jess is stopped by the mysterious Gundam. There is nothing he can do now. 3, 2, 1, 0. Kate doesn't fire. Jess always refers to Kate as Kate, but whoever is talking to him is referring to him as Madigan, his last name. He recognized that this is an imposter talking to him and doesn't shoot. Liam does a diagnostics on the ship and recognizes that their systems have been compromised with a computer virus. Kate heads out to the hangar and tries to get into the gold frame, but Rondo stops him. He begs her to let him use the unit. She looks at Kate and says, "You are a good man." This mirrors something similar that Lo said to Rondo in Gundam Seed X Astray. Lo never saw her as a person lusting for power. All Lo saw was a leader who took great care of her people. It seemed that in the 2 years since that conversation between Lo and Rondo, she has learned quite a lot, but still wants to annihilate the Junk Guild? Kate, being Kate, does a little bit of flirting with Rondo before taking off. The Socius clones wonder if they should sortie as well, but Rondo says that it would hurt Kate's pride and to let him handle it on his own. Jess disconnects his camera from 8. Remember, if it isn't connected, 8's sensors does not pick up on the mysterious Gundam. As it goes to attack, the outframe is infected with the virus. The unit comes in with its claw arms and tears through the outframe. The Junk Guild recognizes that they are using Mirage Colloid tech to transmit the virus, similar to the one that was used to infect the red and blue frame in Astray. Kate comes in using the gold frame and attacks the unit. As he attacks, the armor color shifts from red to white. Kate wonders if it is phase shift armor. Jess notes that it is actually variable shift armor, and he saw it at Zaft, so this unit is clearly up to date in regards to its tech. The mobile suit gets behind the gold frame and gets the upper hand. Jess comes rushing in, but the mobile suit uses its claw arm and tears through the outframe. Jess drifts out into space. As the fight continues, a positron cannon blast comes barreling through. Everyone looks out to see the rehome. It is Lo and Kisato returning from Mars. The mysterious unit retreats. Kate grabs the outframe and Jess's body. He is alive but weak. He sees Lo's face and asks him of a favor, but then instantly passes out. Back at Mattias's mansion, he is informed of Matisse's doing. It seems that the clan plans on having her assassinated, and Mattias wants to be the one to make it happen. More on the clan very soon. At the Earth Alliance Forces Special Intelligence Bureau Station, we see the mysterious unit return. This mysterious unit is called Testament Gundam. The ZG-MF X-12A Testament Gundam was an experimental Zaft unit created to initially test out striker packs. The Testament's name refers to a covenant between God and humans, the idea being that coordinators are gods and naturals are humans. Patrick Zala loyalists are so gross, but I suppose that is the point. The coordinators don't actually understand what a coordinator truly is. In Astray, AI George Glynn says that a coordinator is a bridge to the next step in human evolution. Somewhere along the timeline, it was misinterpreted as coordinators actually being the next step in human evolution, rather than a bridge. Testament Gundam has variable shift armor and an in-jammer canceller, but its main weapon is the quantum computer virus transmission system. It infects quantum computers within a certain range of the unit, and it somehow doesn't affect the in-jammer canceller. It is mainly used to hide the Gundam's location and appearance. It also uses the Divine Striker Pack, which is similar to the L Striker Pack, but works with Testament Gundam's variable shift armor. The masked pilot returns. He gets out and starts assaulting his superior officer. A team comes in and sedates the pilot. They place him in the cradle, similar to what we saw Stella use. Matisse is behind this pilot. She is referring to him as Scout 0984. She is set on getting her hands on the Genesis weapon. Back at the Junk Guild, it seems that Junius 7 is on its way to Earth, and it doesn't look like it could be stopped. Lo says that he ran into a pod on their way back and picked it up. It just so happens to be Satona. Lo says that someone actually told him to come back from Mars. He heads to the hangar to fix the outframe and says that you will understand soon enough. Meanwhile, on the Ortigia Kai, Kennard Parnes is sleeping. He gets a vision from Prayer Reverie, decides to change course, and heads towards Genesis Alpha. Lo is fixing up the outframe. It was modified by Lo, but in its original state, it is very similar to that mysterious mobile suit that they stumbled across in battle. Lo plans on fixing it to this original state. Kate says that he will pilot the mobile suit as he has actual combat pilot experience, but Jess wants to pilot and see the enemy with his own eyes. Lo says, good news, 2 people could fit into this unit. And by fit, I mean Jess will be crammed up into the head of the mobile suit. Seems like the equivalent of just getting into the trunk. This newly upgraded outframe is now referred to as the Outframe D. The ZG-MF X-12D Gundam Astray Outframe D is taking the Outframe's design back to its original concept, which resembles the Testament Gundam. Unlike the Testament Gundam, this is battery-powered instead of nuclear-powered. It still has Striker Pack hardpoints, but this unit has a second seat in the head, which Jess will use to see the Testament Gundam with his own eyes. This version is equipped with a beam sign, a beam rifle, a Schneider combat knife, a custom shield, and the gun camera, which is now upgraded with the It's a welding tool used by the Junk Guild. There will actually be 3 people piloting this mobile suit. Jess will be the eyes, Kate will be the pilot of the mobile suit, and 8 will focus on warding off the virus. Its ability to infect a virus and skew the truth is the Testament Gundam's greatest weapon, according to Jess. Lo says that its armor is made of cheaper material, but because of this, it means it's also very light. Lo heads out to the Junior 7 debris. He is going to try to do something about the situation, even if he can't stop it. Back with Serpent's Tail, Kazuhana also gets a vision of Prayer. He tells her they will need to help out the journalist. She understands the mission and notes that Prayer hasn't changed one bit. The Outframe D launches. It seems that the Junk Guild is already getting bombarded by enemies. Suddenly, Serpent's Tail and Canard comes in to help the Junk Guild. Canard goes and handles the grunts. As some go in to attack Genesis Alpha, Guy and Elijah come in, rocking meteor units. QTM Revolution. Kate sees 5 Testament Gundams approaching him. The virus has already been activated. Jess is able to spot the real one and points it out to Kate. Kate and Testament Gundam engage in battle. Kate is emulating Ed the Ripper's fighting style by getting underneath the armor. They get in close and ask why he is doing this. He takes off his mask to reveal that he is Ash Gray and he wants to take revenge on the woman that used him. Ash goes mad. He says the name Matisse before opening the cockpit without his helmet on, being sucked out into space. The virus has been activated, however, and the Genesis weapon goes off. Somewhere near Junior 7, Matisse is monitoring the Genesis weapon. She is trying to find any excuse to get people to start another war, and the Junk Guild firing a weapon that goes against the Junius Treaty is the evidence she needs. She looks out at 2 cards from her Irregular 13. As a person who thinks that they control the universe, she has what she calls 13 Irregulars. These are people that she thinks she doesn't have control over. The 2 cards that she pulls is Ed and Lo. The remains of Junior 7 makes its way towards Earth orbit. A rogue Zaft team of Patrick Zala loyalists are working against the desires of Zaft and Plant. They immediately send out mobile suits to take care of the situation. Of course, we know that this team is led by Isaac Jewell, with Diarca and Shiho by his side. They are able to break apart the debris, but it isn't good enough. The Minerva is on the battlefield. It begins descending into Earth's atmosphere. They plan on using their positron cannon on Junior 7 as it begins descending. Isaac's team has done their job. He calls for a retreat, but Shiho notices a mysterious mobile suit coming towards Junior 7. She notices the mobile suit with a katana going in and attacking the debris before it eventually breaks up in Earth's atmosphere. Of course, we know that the debris will go on to destroy major cities on Earth. Back on Earth, Matisse contacts Lord Jibril and informs him of the data she has on Zaft. Remember, last episode, Matisse monitored the Genesis Alpha weapon being fired by the Testament Gundam's virus. She and Jibril will now use this information to start another war. During Gundam Seed Destiny, we just see Jibril just out and blame Zaft with no evidence. This scene gives some sense of logic to his emotional outbursts in the show. Matisse says the Blue Cosmos slogan, for a blue and pure world. At Zaft, Bernadette is hosting a news panel with a few compatriots. She is sticking up for the Junk Guild, but the rest of the reporters are suggesting that they are a part of Lo's involvement. Remember that the Junk Guild was originally hired to ensure Junior 7 was in a stable orbit back in Cosmic Era 71. Lo is starting to lose his credibility within the plants. Matisse is watching this all go down while holding a card of Lo. It seems this is all according to her plan. She sets her sights on Ed the Ripper. Back at an undisclosed plant, Ed is still in the hands of Mikhail Kost. Ed has been here in hiding since he was shot during the USSA Revolution. Mikhail has to go out on a mission and is leaving him alone. He tells him not to leave. He hears someone come back in the room and assumes it's Mikhail, but before he can see who it is, he is shot. The news tells the world that Ed the Ripper has been found. Mattias is watching and knows that this is the work of his sister, Matisse. We get a glimpse of a flashback of Matisse and Mattias, where their caregivers fill them with propaganda that they are the most important people in the world. All hell is breaking loose, still at the Junk Guild's location. Liam is thinking back at Randa Mina Sahaku, saying that the Junk Guild will be annihilated, and is starting to realize what she meant. Kate in the Testament Gundam comes in and helps Jess in the Outframe. He is getting attacked by a mysterious Gundam. Liam sends a message to everyone on the battlefield. He says that the Junk Guild will return to Ame no Miyashida and abandon Genesis Alpha. At Zaft, Bernadette is reporting to Durandal regarding the state of Orb and Kigali after the Break the World incident. He is also informed of the other RGX mobile suit that was stolen. Bernie notes that Durandal had no reaction to Junior 7, but reacted strongly to Genesis Alpha. She thinks Durandal knows something. She asks him to give her clearance to go investigate further. As Bernadette drives off, there is a road closing. Soldiers ask her to step out of the vehicle. Back on the battlefield, Jess is confused by Liam's statement. At that moment, the professor pushes the big red button and self-destructs Genesis Alpha. Kate notes that that was a smart move. Junk goes flying everywhere. 8 tells Jess to get used to it like the other Junk Guild members. The Outframe and Testament head out and meet up with the Junk Guild. Matisse is happy that Lowe's image is being destroyed. She continues gathering information on him. She is concerned of the events of Genesis Alpha as she didn't plan for that to happen. She looks at one of her irregulars as she holds up a card of the professor. They are ready to launch the RGX-04 once again. Kate and Jess meet up with the Junk Guild. Liam is sad that it has turned out this way. The news called to impose divine retribution on the anti-society organization, the Junk Guild. Jess wants to help, but Liam says that this is a concern for the Junk Guild and he shouldn't get involved. He goes out anyways, as he doesn't intend to fight. Kate follows him. The professor notes that these two work really well together, regardless of their bickering. He goes out and uses his beam sign to display a message to not shoot. The two meet with Jean Carey. Is it Jean Carey or Jean Carey? I'm gonna call him Jean for now. He's accompanied by a bunch of long daggers and 105 daggers with striker packs. The GAT-01D Long Dagger is a high-performance version of the Strike Dagger, which was focused on mass production for natural pilots. This unit was designed off of the Dual Gundam and shares most of its parts from the Strike Dagger. Also, like the Strike Dagger, it cannot use striker packs. On a side note, you would think that the 105 Dagger or the Dagger L would be called the Strike Dagger, unlike the actual Dagger, which can't use striker packs. It frustrates me. Actually, the Strike Dagger is named that way because it was built off the data of the Strike... Shut up! I know. It's still dumb. It is equipped with an ES-1 beam saber, Vulcans, a high-energy beam rifle, a 57mm beam rifle, a shield, a 115mm linear cannon, and an 8-tube missile pod. Jess tries to tell them that the media is wrong, and that the Junk Guild didn't fire Genesis Alpha. They of course don't seem to trust his word, and begin attacking. Kate and the Testament Gundam shields Jess, and strikes down the 105 Dagger. He rips off the striker pack and hands it to Jess. I believe this is the AQME M11 Doppelhorn striker pack, but I'm not 100% sure. Kate tells him that he must fight this time. Jess understands and begins to attack. It cuts away, not showing the battle. Jess and Kate catch up with the Junk Guild and the Aminami Hashira. They all meet up, including Rondo. It seems that Liam and Rondo have come to an agreement of working together. They sent a signal for all guild members to come to the Aminami Hashira. They still, however, can't get a hold of Lowe. At the same time, news is reporting that Lowe is now a wanted criminal. There is a bounty on his head currently. They go into the hangar to find the Gerbera Strait. We just did a video on this sword. Go check it out. This is all they found in the orbiting remains of Junior 7. They assume the worst about Lowe. On Earth, former Archangel crew member Midialia Hawk is taking photos. Out of the rubble comes a mysterious mobile suit. Back on the plants, Bernie is getting interrogated. She is being accused of smuggling Ed the Ripper into the plants. Both Ed and Bernie are being transported as prisoners. It seems that Ed is putting his faith in Jess being able to broadcast the truth. Mad Dog Morgan Chevalier and Rika Shetter, the test pilot who was introduced in Armory Plant 1, are both protecting the shuttle. This seems to be some kind of joint effort. Morgan is piloting the Exus. The TS-MA-4F Exus is based off the modded TS-MA-2 Mobius Zero. It also uses data collected from the gun barrel striker. Like Morgan's gun barrel dagger, this unit also utilizes the wire gun barrels. This version has a twin beam gun and field edge horned moon, which is essentially beam blades for close combat use. It also has a machine gun, a quadruple missile launcher, and a twin linear gun. Rondo Mina Sahaku brings everyone together for a meeting. She wants to tell them her plan. One of the Socius clones brings in Kenneth Lucchini. He sits down and tells Jess not to look at him. Back in space, a mobile suit is approaching Morgan and Rika. It just so happens to be the stolen Proto-Savior. The ZG-MF-YX-21R Proto-Savior is the prototype of the Savior Gundam, which we will see Atherin Zella pilot after the Break the World incident. As this unit was quite fast, the black paint was designed to see the unit while testing. Once it was stolen by Matisse and the clan, they added the quantum computer virus transmission system to the unit. It has variable shift armor and the Deuterium beam energy transfer system, which allows you to wirelessly charge your mobile suit. Check out our Destiny videos for more on this tech. It is equipped with Vulcans, a plasma beam cannon, a Super Fortis beam cannon, and it also has a beam saber, beam rifle, and the aerodynamic shield. Inside the shuttle, Ed and Bernie are watching the fight. They say that he will be treated similarly to the pirates if he continues to attack. The Proto-Savior says that there is a bomb on the shuttle and they don't know the truth about what is happening. Morgan suspects that Rika is a plant. Rika can't believe she would be used by Zeft. The proto-savior uses the virus transmission system to break the bomb. It also infects Rika's mobile suit. Exus tries to attack, but the proto-savior is fast and keeps tailing him. We cut back to Rondo finishing explaining her plan. Jess is all for it, but Kate is out. He thinks it is silly and impossible. They will make their announcement to the world in 3 days. Until then, Jess wants to go to Earth. Rondo shows an image of a mobile suit that is on Earth. It is the mysterious mobile suit that fell from Lowe's ship. Kenneth says he has a man that he refers to as Jay that will help out on Earth. Jess goes to meet his contact. Back at the shuttle, another unit comes out of nowhere. It is Gene Carey coming in, piloting the M1 Astray and rocking the Verne flight module. The Verne 35A MPFM multi-purpose flight module is a civilian variant of the Meteor system. Unlike the Meteor system, the Verne flight system doesn't have the godly amount of weapons that you see with the Meteor pack, but it still does have missile launchers. This is modified to be used on various mobile suits as well as shuttles. Gene Carey is stopping the flight and is currently representing the Junk Guild. He won't let Ed and Bernie die. Gene Carey has a fascinating history. Similar to the path of the Archangel, Gene Carey was a former Alliance member who eventually defected and joined the Three-Ship Alliance. He was one of the pilots fighting under the Kusanagi Corps, the Orb faction of the Three Ships. He now helps out the Junk Guild. However, once the Second Alliance plant war pops off, he will return to help the Three Alliance ship once again. On Earth, Kate and Jess find the mysterious mobile suit. It is surrounded by a series of Zakus. The Zakus go in and attack the mysterious mobile suit. It sheds its skin to reveal that it is the Red Frame. The Red Frame goes in to attack the Zaku, shouting die. This isn't Lowe, and Jess recognizes this. He goes in to stop, and Kate sighs as Jess's sloppy tactics seems to become Kate's burden. Jess uses his striker pack to fly out of the situation carrying Kate. They later rendezvous with the Red Frame. They want whoever this is to spill the beans. We flash back to the Break the World incident. Lowe is mad that he dropped the Gerbera Strait. While in the hangar, someone steals the Red Frame. He refers to this variant as the Red Frame Mars Jacket. The MBF P-02 Gundam Astray Red Frame Mars Jacket is a modification to the Red Frame that Lowe made to adapt to Mars's atmosphere. It also has the ability to handle Earth re-entry. Its design and color scheme resembles the Gelgoog Charles Rochester type. The unit takes off from the rehome. The mysterious person wonders why he even told this information to Jess. Suddenly, a strike dagger comes in and attacks the two. Everyone gathers on the Aminami Hashira. Jess Skypes in. Hearing Ed's voice, Jane the White Whale begins yelling at him. It was Jane who was the mysterious contact that Kenneth referred to as Jay. They are upset that it wasn't Lowe, so they will have to continue with the plan without him. Jess stays on Earth for a little bit as he wants to report on the fall of Junius 7. Rondo is ready to give her speech to the world. Back with Matisse, she is flashbacking to a time where her grandmother said that Mattias will succeed the family business and not her. She decides that is the time for her brother to die. She snaps out of it when an underling tells her that they found the location of two irregulars. She sends out Scout 646, aka Ide Yarat. This Amado-looking motherfucker is relatively calm and collected, but is extremely violent. Rondo Minasahaku gives her speech to the world. Mattias is watching. It is time for him to start his plan. He heads out with the two other people in the room. It just so happens to be Kennard and Elijah. Back at the rehome, Lowe is safe, but the Proto-Saver is approaching their location. Ide Yarat tells Lowe that he is a wanted criminal and he plans on taking him in. If he resists, he will be forced to destroy them, and boy does he hope they resist. Lowe says that he doesn't have his Red Frame currently and wants to talk it out. Yi isn't having any of it and begins firing on the rehome. Rondo is continuing her speech. Amongst those who are listening are Reverend Malchio along with Kira and Lacus. Jess rushes to Mattias' mansion. He is confused as to why Kennard and Elijah are here. He wants Mattias to explain the truth. Rondo exclaims that there are people moving in the shadows, making you believe what they want you to believe, and that it is engineered to be this way by the government. Back at the rehome, the ship is attacked by Proto-Savior. He tells him that he is reckless and that no one will want to be his opponent exhibiting this behavior. He realizes that the ship only gets minor maintenance, which means he can't be trusted with this mobile suit. This infuriates Yi, but Matisse calls him back for a different operation. Kenneth finally gets into contact with Lowe and catches him up. Rondo goes on to tell the people to think for themselves, essentially, and to come to their own conclusions. She tells the world about the reporter Jess and how he shaped the course the last war simply by telling the truth. Guy is standing alongside Rondo as she continues. She leaves it in the hands of the people. Morgan isn't buying into her speech. As she ends, Guy prepares for his next mission. Kennard and Elijah head out to Matisse's base. They are met with a bunch of Prograndes. The TSX MA717ZD Progrande is a bizarre variant of the Mobius Zero mod. It is equipped with an N-jammer canceller and has very limited phase shift armor. Unlike the Mobius, this uses the Dragoon system and uses wireless pods instead of gun barrels. This Dragoon system can be used by both Naturals and Coordinators, which is quite rare. The two begin to battle. In the background, Jess and Kate are watching from afar. He remembers Mattias' final mission objective for him. He wants him to follow Elijah and Kennard to film the truth. Mattias plans on going to his family and ending this himself. In one of the coolest moments in this manga, Guy comes out of nowhere in the blue frame 2nd G, holding a giant-ass Lohengrin positron cannon. He doesn't have a neutron jammer canceller, so Kennard in the Dreadnought H stays close to him as he has one on his Gundam. Guy fires the cannon. The base is destroyed, but Matisse is no longer on board. She left on her Gurilu-class ship. She heads to the bridge to find Mattias sitting there. It is clear that Mattias broke free from the programming of the clan and his family, unlike Matisse, who bought into all of it. So much so that it is assumed that she killed all of the family besides Mattias. She mentions that Jess Rabel's influence is too strong as an irregular. He tries to tell her that he is just a simple man trying to tell the truth. Anyone has the potential to be Jess. A self-destruct sequence begins on the ship. Mattias says she won't die alone. He intends to end their family lineage right here and now. Mattias embraces her sister as the ship begins exploding. The base is destroyed. Lo and the Rehome joins the team. Also on their way is the Alliance fleet. Even though Matisse has been working under Omni Enforcer as a ruse for her own doing, this base was still an Alliance base, and this isn't going to turn out well. Kate wants to bail. Guy wants to fight. Lo wants to fix it. But Jess wants to use his words. And that will conclude Gundam Seed Destiny Astray. It was kind of an abrupt ending, but the point was that we see all these solutions to war over the years, and now's the time to communicate with one another. Based on the events of the manga, we can assume that Jess will handle the situation no problem. Not that it matters because the Second Alliance Plant War is pretty much upon us, so talking will be moot. Next time, in our journey through the Astray mangas, we will dive into Gundam Seed CE73 Delta Astray. In this manga, we will head to Mars and see what is going on with the Deep Space Survey and Development Organization that we haven't seen since Stargazer, which I guess technically hasn't happened yet in the timeline. Don't worry about that. But that will do it for now, Coordinators. Remember that Lo's words resonated in Rondo so much that she took action to become a better person than her twin brother. Peace.